patients. In fact, in 3 years, I had signed more birth certificates than any other doctor in the city. If only they gave out medals for that sort of thing. It would have looked rather nice on my wall, don't you think? Well, I settled into the daily routine of medical practice until I received a call in 1932 from a Mary Hawkins. I thought it would be the standard call, so I was ready to ask the general questions, how long have you been pregnant, where are you located, and that sort of thing. But instead, she launched into a rant about her local initiative to start a birth control clinic. She told me that the head doctor had left her in the lurch, and she was looking for someone else to take on the responsibility. I must admit that I was rather intrigued by the prospect, despite the fact that it was entirely illegal. Because you see, I knew firsthand the difficulties that families faced by growing larger and larger with less and less resources available to them with the Great Depression and all. But my time was also a factor. You see, I was already working day and night, delivering babies and cycling so hard across Hamilton that my feet ached. Plus, I had my son John to think about, too. No, so I chose to decline Mary's request. But that night, I couldn't fall asleep. All I could picture was the scared face of a woman who had learned that she would be pregnant for the 6th time in 6 years. The pockmarked and weary expression of a man who was pounding the pavement for work with mere pennies to feed his family of 10. The letters I received detailing the deaths of my patients who had undergone illegal abortions just to avoid having another mouth to feed. Why should these families suffer when there were other options available to them? I shot up out of bed, reached for the telephone, and when Mary picked up, I simply said, I changed my mind. Count me in. And from then on, I ran the clinic, primarily as a volunteer, alongside my private practice. Every Friday, I would walk down York Boulevard, just a little over there, in fact, and I would fit women with diaphragms and assist with their family planning. Mary expected that we would receive about 60 or so women in our first year, but 400 turned up. I seem to be the only one not surprised at this. For you see, I knew firsthand that it was arrogant men who ran the banks, government institutions, and educational systems, which meant that the average woman had very little knowledge about how her body worked, and even less choice in what to do with it. Ridiculous, I know. And to think that we were the first organization of its kind in all of Canada, the first to acknowledge that women deserved and needed their own personalized health care. I will never fail to laugh at the ignorance and stupidity of men, even in my old age. But these men were quite a problem for us because they were rather vocally against us, often citing the law, family values, and especially religion. Our greatest opponent was a J.T. McNally, a Catholic priest. And oh, how he would rant and rave about how birth control was blasphemous, dehumanizing, and degrading. And he would note that any woman who used or ran our clinics was a heretic and devil. Well, if I was the devil, I didn't worry about it, because he was giving us the best advertising we could have possibly asked for. And you see, we couldn't promote our services because it was illegal, right? So he did it for us. So I would